A new documentary about the investigation into Sarah Everard's murder reveals interviews with police and prosecutors who worked on the case for the first time. It includes the chilling moment the lead detective discovers the prime suspect is one of their own.
One of my detective sergeants came running into the office and said, "We need to shut the door. You need to hear this." He then put one of our researchers on speakerphone, and she said, "He's a police officer. He's a serving officer in the Met. He currently works for the Parliamentary and Diplomatic Protection Group." I knew that I had to tell my boss, and I can just remember the shock of having to just sit on the floor of the office and say to her, "You're not going to believe this."
It also shows body cam footage from inside Wayne Couzens' living room, where he admits to kidnapping Sarah, but lies about handing her over to an Eastern European gang.
We knocked on the door. Actually, he opened it. I just put my foot straight into the door, showed him my warrant card, and he just went grey. Just all the colour just run out of his face.
I don't know who they are. They're a group, a gang, whatever. And they told me, right, I need to go and pick up girls and give them to them. So it then came through that they're going to harm my family, take them away, and they'll use them instead. At that point, I had no option to try and find somebody.
But 3 years after Sarah's shocking murder, the prosecutor who locked up her killer for life says violence against women and girls is getting worse. And recent figures show more than 1,000 police officers across England and Wales are under investigation for sexual or domestic abuse, and dozens have been convicted of crimes, including rape, sexual assault and offences against children. Well, the Couzens case, I think, has shaken women's faith in the police, obviously, but also their own sense of sort of safety, personal security. I think if I was stopped by a lone police officer, if I was asked to open the front door as a woman on my own to a male police officer, if I was asked to get out of my car, anything like that, I would be absolutely terrified. I don't think that one can trust them. I know people have said Couzens is one bad apple, but that's simply not the case. We know there are many, many rogue officers. I don't think I would feel confident to report a rape and have, you know, photographs and things like that circulated around the force. I think we're in a really, really dark place for the Met Police, and obviously this documentary is going to be pretty terrifying and eye-opening for women and for, you know, people in general. Mm.
And I think that the documentary really brings it home how upsetting that must have been for the other, you know, officers, particularly the female officers in the Met. Now, you know, I completely agree with you. The whole excuse of, you know, one bad apple, we know that's not the case. Louise Casey's report said that wasn't the case. The report that came out last week, particularly on Everard, you know, also said that's, you know, that ship has sailed. The idea that that's got that sort of theory.
How can that be allowed to happen? How can we have got to that state where police officers who are known amongst their colleagues to be wrong-uns, to put it mildly, can still be serving?
And why are there so many of them? Is it David Carrick? Was it 48 rapes or something while he was a cop?
A campaign, so 12 years of offences against women.
Yeah, and look at the state we've got to. I think I'm right in saying that shortly after the Wayne Couzens affair, when he was convicted and sent to prison, quite rightly, for the rest of his life, the police issued a statement saying, be careful if it's just one police officer. You know, don't necessarily go along with what they want you to do. Make sure there are two police. This is the cops telling women predominantly, but men as well, make sure there are two cops, because if it's one cop, he might be a wrong 'un. I mean, what a state we're in. Yeah. And today, the victims' families from the killings in Nottingham are calling for an inquiry into why police officers took WhatsApp pictures of the bodies and shared them among each other.
The dying moments.
How many more WhatsApp groups are we going to have among the police? What the hell is going on?
Well, I mean, and also you dig into the numbers, you know, about whether or not it's got better or worse, and you look at the hundreds of thousands of accusations of sexual assault, 100,000 of rape. And it's a hard thing, I think, for blokes to just be honest and acknowledge that these things are happening. You know, one woman every 3 days is killed by a man, most likely someone that she knew. It's a really hard thing to face, and even harder when it's the people that are supposed to protect you.
Yeah.